Hi everyone, this is a short video presentation about the assignments and assessment procedures that are part of communication and media for all of the students, including you guys, the external students. The first thing I'd say is to please pay attention to the course outline, download it, have a close read of the assignment requirements. And if you do have any questions about that or indeed anything else, feel free to post them on the discussion board. Even if it seems quite trivial, because sometimes there are just questions that are apparently little but can be really, really important. And other people may have the same question as you, or they may not have even thought to ask that question yet. So please do post your questions on the discussion board. Okay, there are two short answer questions which form the first assessment, or piece of work for the first assessment. So the first one is due on the 24th of March, which is quite soon, and the second is due on the 14th of April. And I'll go through some details about each of these in a moment. The second is an essay which builds upon the short answer questions, and then the last one at the end of the course is due on the 23rd of June. And once again, course outline is your guide to all the assessments and everything else. I can't emphasize that enough. So the first assessment is a short answer. Now you'll see here the short answer is about 675 words, due 24th of March, and you submit that via the course website link. If anyone has any problems finding that, do again let me know. If we need to provide some further information about how to find that, we will. Now, next week, in week 2, there will be an example answer to a short answer question, which we'll provide for you. We'll get you to kind of like read it and see what kind of grade you would give it. So I'm not going to tell you what it has been assessed at the moment. I'll let you know afterwards. Or what you'll do is you'll read the example that's given, and then secondly you should have a look at a graded version of that same example. All right, we'll let you know some of the things that we're looking for in this piece of work. Now you have two options. You can select from the week 2 topic, which is an introduction to the field of communication and media, or the week 3 topic, which is understanding communication and media practice. And all those materials will be ones that you can access and go through during those 2 weeks. And as I said, your choice, either week 2 or week 3. Now the first assessment has part 2 to it, which is the same type of task with different topics. So this is due later. You'll get some feedback on your first assignment, and then you basically have to have another go, but based upon a different topic. So you can choose from weeks 4, 5 or 6. So the topics there are firstly communication in non-verbal cultures, or week 5 literate cultures, or week 6 the role of communication and media in the development of trade. So you can have a look through some of those materials and the readings as we go, and make up your mind as we get closer to that due date. It's probably worthwhile waiting until you've spent some time going through some of the materials and thinking about either of those topics. So no need to make up your mind right now. It's the same word length, 675 words, same submission process. So those 2 short answers are combined to form the first assessment for this course. The second assessment is the essay, which is due 26th of May. Now, in this essay, you have to explore the significance that communication and media have on contemporary society. Now, the way that we've structured it is that you can take one of the answers from your first assessment, so you'll be submitting those 2 short pieces, then you choose one of those that you're being particularly inspired by and would like to develop further, or for whatever reason you have selected in order to expand upon it, delve a little bit deeper, do a little bit further research, and develop a more considered argument closer to what we describe as in a type of essay, and develop it. And then you'll be creating what we're, as I mentioned, is regarded as a formal academic essay. And we'll go through some of the requirements for a formal academic essay as we go through the course. Now, for this essay, you need to develop and apply your understanding in one of your chosen topic to one of these domains. So it could be your workplace, or it could be the university. It could be a social setting, so media and communications in the home, out at a nightclub or a pub or a members association, or it could be like a sporting club or something like that. It could be an online news outlet. Some examples given there: Adelaide Now, The Guardian, In Daily, so on and so on. Or a traditional news outlet, broadcast television, broadcast radio, print newspapers, or social media. Or if there's some other domain or some other area of media and communications that you would like to choose as your focus, just have a chat with your tutor, in your case it's me, about what you want to do. Now you can post it on the discussion board, or you can just email me, and in most instances it's fine as long as you check first. Now the last assessment item is what we're calling a project. Now it's due 23rd of June, long way off, but there's nothing stopping you from thinking about what you would like to do for your final project, even from early on. It will be a PowerPoint presentation with a recording like I've done now, or with notes, and it's based upon one of the topics in the second half of the course. So the essay really covers off the first half of the course, and then your project will focus on the topics considered in the second half of the course, and you can look through those again in your course outline. And we're inviting you to illustrate and discuss and explore how theories of media power, persuasion, and media effects research relate to contemporary media texts. So those topics, media power, it's one topic; persuasion and media effects are topics that we will be delving into and discussing in the second half of the course. So if that doesn't mean too much to you now, don't worry too much. You might want to think about it a little bit, stick it in the back of your mind, mull it over. And the other part of the project to consider is how you can relate these to contemporary media text. So something that is now. Now, it doesn't have to be this week. It can be this year or the last couple of years. That's fine. If you're not sure, again, check. But we're not looking for you to do something, your project, we don't want you to look at something that's historical. Okay, so an example of an historical media text would be something like, the first moon landing, where Neil Armstrong's foot landed on the moon, which was broadcast live all over the world, was a very powerful moment in media history. But that's not a contemporary media text. Some more information about what a contemporary media text is. It could be an advertising image that you might see on a billboard or in a magazine, an advertising commercial, obviously on television or even on radio, or online, a news article, a magazine article from either an online or a traditional platform that promotes one of the following. So it could be promoting fashion, it could be promoting mobile phones, it could be promoting a news outlet, okay, or it could be promoting a sporting activity or an event, or even a sporting celebrity. Or it could be, there's quite a bit of scope here for something that you want to negotiate if you want to look at a different type of media text. So gaming, you might want to look at an example of media effects, media promotion, so on, and something like Fortnite or World of Warcraft, or any other game that takes your fancy. A TV show or film, it could be tourism materials, or really you have quite a bit of scope here to explore areas that are of your particular interest, but always just check first, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so a few tips from me about how to approach assessments generally. So diarise. First of all, put the due dates for your assessment in your diary. Make sure that you have plenty of notifications for you so you don't get caught at the last minute. Schedule in regular research and writing time. Now this is particularly important, I think, for external students who you may be taking this course externally because you have busy lives, either work, family commitments, and so on and so on. So you really do need to make sure that you don't leave it all for the last minute, and I strongly encourage scheduling a little bit of time each week where you are going to focus on the materials for the course and doing some work towards your assessable items. Start early, and one of the things I'd encourage you to think about is this great idea that has been kicking around for a while, in that if you just write down a few doodles or dream or write down a few research questions and then give yourself some time to just let that rattle around in the back of your head. There's some people who are suggesting, some researchers are suggesting that even subconsciously your brain might be just processing things in the background. So even if you just make a few notes for 15 minutes at the start of the day before you go to work, if you have that kind of time, and then come back to it if at the end of your work day that's when you've scheduled your regular time to focus on your university studies. And the idea is that in the meantime, your subconscious is doing all this free labour for you, if you like, because you don't have to put any effort in, and it helps process information and kind of starts that process of deliberation, of interrogation, of investigation, and which eventually leads to your output, which is your answers, your essays, and your presentations. Then you actually have to write or produce the materials that are going to be assessed. Never, please, don't submit your first draft. It's a classic way to leave a bunch of mistakes in there, which are typically picked up easily if you do a second draft, and preferably, I reckon 3 is a good initial target. And leave some time between your first draft and your second draft. Right, so even more than a couple of hours, I would think a couple of days. And one of the ways I like to think about this is like baking a cake, right? So you bake a cake, it comes out of the oven, and before you ice it, you have to let it cool before you put the icing on top. So do your first draft, then let it cool. Come back, and you may have even forgotten some of the stuff you've written, which is good because you'll be rereading it more intensely and with more attention and more focus. And that'll help you pick up any errors. Ask. We're all here to help. I can help you. There are also online resources that we'll be going through in further detail that are available here at UniSA that can help you. One of the things that you really need to do when you're producing any university assignment is that demonstrate that you've engaged with the material that has been provided for you. So in the first instance, these are the lecture notes, the lecture recordings, the online materials, and the required readings or the required videos that we've designated for each week of the program. Now, from the course outline, there is a requirement that at least one reference should be used from the course material for each task. Now, that's for the short online assessment tasks. The larger tasks will require more references, so more than just one. And please do use the appropriate referencing system, which is the UniSA Harvard referencing system. For those of you who have spent any time doing university subjects in the past, you'll be familiar with this. If it's your first time at university, be prepared for it's a little bit frustrating at times, but be prepared to pay attention to every little detail about your referencing. It does seem quite pedantic, but when you get your head around it, it's not really that difficult. It just requires attention. So do become very familiar with this UniSA Harvard Referencing System website. And that's it from me.